Okay. What's going on, LBHT crew? B, what is going on?
A whole lot as always. Like we always say, Wednesday provides. So
Wednesday provides indeed. Yes. We have a lot to talk about today. Shout out to the LBHT crews in the house. Look at this. Garnett here bright and early today. He said it's going to be a good one. It is going to be a good one. It is. Shout out to Matt Thomas says, you know why I'm here. I know why you're here, Matt. He is the biggest Deshaun Watson fan, and he cannot wait to rejoice about Deshaun Watson being able to play for his Cleveland Browns. We will talk about it, sir. Yes. Shout out to Ravens Online Ungatekeepers. I was joking, by the way. He's not Deshaun Watson.
What's up, Hendo? Yes, he's the biggest one. What's up, Hendo?
Our guy, living legend. The show, it's official now. Living Legends here. We ready to roll. Yes. Shout out to Andre Miz says, "What's up, LBHT?" Indeed, what's up to you? Just Aloes in the house said, "What's up? I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're doing well." Yes, I know, Danity. I know we were 2 minutes late.
Wow, Danity.
We're 2 minutes late.
I mean, you clock watching, but you can't even remember our co-host's name though.
Oh, shots.
This is a two-way street.
Shout out to our guy Brandon Buck. Yes, some news to talk about for sure. Indeed.
What's up, Buck?
Yes, see, Iron Attic is in the house, says Big Trust. Yes. We're going to talk about Big Trust later on in the show. Yolanda B says, good evening. Hashtag LBHT. Hope everyone's doing well. Hey, thanks for coming through, Yolanda. Thank you very much. Our guy, Davon Johnson's in the house, says, no place I'd rather be. Hashtag LBHT crew. Yes. Got D Weezy in the house. We got Black Daniels in the house. Yes. It's about the time. Felipe Moreno, Darius Simmons, Raven, Ron. Yes.
What's up, Ron?
Boogie Down's even here. Yes. Okay. Watson does make that team a contender. We'll talk about that.
Mods, be on your toes. All right. that's all I'm gonna say.
Boogie Down's gonna be good. He'll be fine. Shout out to King 95. I'm trying to get the shots. Man, y'all coming through. Y'all ready today? Look at Tracy Hall's in the house. Yes. Oh gosh, Suge Knight 323 over there on Twitch says, hit up that Black History Fact. I'm here for it. Yes, indeed. So we are broadcasting on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Facebook, we having some beef with Facebook right now. I have to get that worked out. I'll post it on there later on, but it's not letting me live stream right at this second. See, Dubster, what's going on? Appreciate you coming through. No, look, Nightbot. We gonna have to retweet Nightbot a little bit. There's not gonna be any Nightbot tonight. There's not gonna be any Nightbot. Okay, we got to tweak it a little bit. Okay, maybe Nightbot will make a return in the future. He did entertain you guys, right? Like you guys had fun. It was very entertaining.
Entertained me too.
It was scary, but it was entertaining.
I rather enjoyed that.
Okay. All right. So yes, we have a lot to talk about. Deshaun Watson, his suspension was served to him. The NFL said they don't like that, but they're okay with the punishment for Stephen Ross, which is not a whole lot, considering that they pretty much dismissed the other major thing that they announced that he probably did. Which could be some major legal ramifications. We'll get into that. We'll talk about a Kirk Cousins story that you guys may or may not have heard of because, the media don't want to talk about that, but we're going to talk about it. Oh, yes. And, of course, we're going to give you some Ravens and Panthers training camp news. So a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. But first, we like to start every show with a Black History Fact. And B has a Black History Fact for you.
Yeah, so I'm sure most people can guess what tonight's history fact is going to be. We keep it real short. Bill Russell passed away a couple days ago. One of the greatest players in NBA history. One of the
winningest winners of all time.
in any sport.
Yes.
And an activist, a civil rights activist. Bill Russell was born in 1934, I'm sorry. February 1934 in West Monroe, Louisiana. He went to college in San Francisco. He played basketball. Obviously, won a couple of NCAA championships. Was drafted into the NBA. Played for the Boston Celtics from 1956 to 1969. Won 11 championships in 13 years as a player. Then became the head coach and won 2 more championships. So again, nobody wins more than Bill Russell.
Nobody.
And to go along with that, like I said, he was a civil rights activist. In 2011, he got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And that was just kind of for a lifetime of activism. He had a few kind of firsts for Black athletes. 1964 was part of the first NBA lineup to start 5 Black players. As I mentioned, in 1966, he became the first Black head coach of any North American sports team. And I'm not sure what year, 1961, there it is. He led a walkout of an exhibition game against the St. Louis Hawks because some of the Black players were refused service at a cafe in Lexington, Kentucky. And he said, he was never going to play under those circumstances again. He marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. He was very vocal in support of Muhammad Ali when he was refusing to fight in Vietnam. So, just a lifetime of standing up for civil rights to go along with being one of the greatest players of all time. I mentioned 11 championships as a player, 5-time MVP. He only made 1 all defensive team, which is odd considering he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. But he's one of 2 players in history to get 50 rebounds in a game, the other being Wilt Chamberlain. So he left a lasting legacy on the NBA as a player and as an activist. You see a lot of young players kind of shouting out Bill Russell as part of the inspiration for being able to go out there and speak out on social issues the way that they do, the way they have recently, particularly, during the bubble championship where a lot of the teams just refused to play after George Floyd was murdered. A lot of players gave Bill Russell credit for, kind of giving them the courage to stand up and do that. So again, he passed away on July 31st. And I just want to say rest in peace to Bill Russell.
Yes, indeed. I think it was after his first. Did he win it in his first or second year in the NBA?
I believe it was second year.
The second year, and then he lost the following one, and then he proceeded to win like 9 straight NBA titles.
Yeah. Can
you imagine? Like, it makes me sick to my stomach every time Tom Brady adds another ring. Right? Can you imagine if it was 9 straight? I would quit football. Yes. If you were not a Boston Celtics fan at the time, and you hated Bill Russell, basketball, you picked up hockey. That's what you did. You picked up hockey, or you really leaned into baseball. That's what you did. You didn't watch basketball.
Yes.
And let's give a shout. I gotta give a shout out to our man Noah Driscoll for the donation. Appreciate you. Thank you, indeed. Noah. Thank you. Noah says, I was cut off a little bit. Just your weekly donation from yours truly. Hope everything is well. Hashtag LBHT crew. Appreciate you, Noah.
Thank you,
and
Noah.
If you want to be awesome like Noah, there are 2 ways to do that. We do. So here's how we do our. Pull this up. Here's how we do our super chats here. Okay, we do it a little differently. $sign LBHT Show. Okay, that's our Cash App. Also, the pin link that you see in the comment will take you to our stream elements. Both ways, you can leave a donation, leave your comment, and you get a nice little animation right next to my face right there. All right. We really appreciate you guys donating. Okay. Oh, shout out to our co-host of Ring Kings podcast, Mr. OTR Mike says, yo,
what's up, Mike?
Checking in on my boys from work.
Man,
shout out to
Mike,
you, man.
Go home. It is 7:26, my man.
He put in that work, man. Shout out to you, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into it. We got a lot to cover, man, and we're not gonna be here. It's not gonna be a 2-hour show tonight. Okay?
I do want to point out here, Danity saying the coverage of Bill Russell wasn't big enough for me. Like Davon said, he's a pioneer, and says went straight to the Deshaun news and gave Bill Russell 5 minutes. I want you to cover your eyes and ears for a moment, Danity, because next up we have Deshaun Watson ruling and appeal. Sorry, man.
Well, okay, before we do it, I just want to point out, look, Bill Russell lived a long and healthy life. 88 is still kind of young.
Yeah.
It's still kind of young, but yeah, I agree with Danity, right? I thought they spent a little bit more time, just like his impact on the sport, and even to this day, like he's a presenter for the NBA title. That's why it was so shocking that he died to me. Like he played well before we were born, but like I'm used to seeing Bill Russell every year. And it felt like he was never going to go anywhere. Right?
Even though he was old when we started watching NBA, he was older, so he kind of always he was all gray and everything. He looked like an older guy. He was a retired player. He never got any older.
Yeah,
like, it was weird.
You listen to him talk, he didn't sound that old. He just sound like a regular guy. Like it's one of those things you take for granted, right? Like when Al Davis died, I was just like, really? He's only like 120.
I'll never stop laughing at Al Davis showing up to a press conference with an overhead projector wearing a chainmail sweater. That was wow. The man's a legend.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill Russell too. I should have mentioned. He made it a point to always say that, or he thought of himself as playing for the Celtics, because the Celtics have been a pretty progressive team. They we said they hired the first black head coach in Bill Russell. They had the first black lineup. They were kind of forward thinking in that way, right? Yeah. But not Boston. And he said he always thought of himself as playing for the Celtics, not Boston, not the racist city of Boston. and his daughter had written an essay back in, I believe it was 87, talking about how when they came back from a vacation one time, their home had been vandalized, and there was racial slurs all over the walls, and things were broken, and they defecated in their parents' beds and everything. The police wouldn't do anything, and it was just kind of, hey, deal with it. And the FBI had kept a file on Bill Russell, and in the file they called him an arrogant Negro who refused to sign autographs for white kids, for white children. So I mean, he obviously went through a lot in his playing time, but handled it with a lot of grace and dignity. Wasn't afraid to stand up and push back, and like I said, had an incredible career in life.
I just want to remind you guys how recent this is. It wasn't that long ago, right? The man just passed away.
Yeah,
you're talking about the FBI, a federal government agency, putting him under investigation because he won't sign autographs for white kids.
Yeah.
This is why we do a Black History Fact, folks.
And yes, Jay, that is correct. I'm not going to put that on the screen, but yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. But yeah, so we can go ahead and jump into the other end of the spectrum. If you want to call it that. The ruling came back in Deshaun Watson's case, and he was given 6 games, which is kind of the baseline for NFL suspensions for any crimes against women, violence against women, sexual assault, anything like that. And the NFL and fans aren't happy with it, right? If you believe that Deshaun Watson should be suspended at all, you probably don't think 6 games was enough. I don't think 6 games was enough, but that's what came back. I think that the judge was kind of going by what was presented to her. They only used, I believe it was 5 cases out of the 24 lawsuits, and didn't believe there was enough to go beyond that.
No, go ahead.
So
I got a fill-in assistant producer today. Steven got to help me out.
Yeah, so the NFL, as per the agreement, when this judge was appointed, they have 3 days to appeal the ruling, and today they went ahead and filed their appeal. And I don't know why they really call it an appeal. I don't know why they have the process, because the appeal goes to Roger Goodell, and Roger Goodell could make the ruling himself, or he can designate someone else to do it. So the NFL, the talk is they're looking for an indefinite suspension of with at least 1 year. And you can probably go ahead and mute yourself.
That's all right. Thank you.
Yeah, so they're looking for at least 1 year with an indefinite suspension. They want to fine him. He was not fined as part of this. He's just going to lose his game checks, which amounted to about $350,000, a little less than $350,000, I believe. And they wanted to undergo some counseling and kind of classes, essentially, to say, hey, we want to fix your behavior type of classes. Deshaun Watson, from the reporting, is not remorseful at all. Says that he didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't have anything to apologize for. He doesn't want to, do any kind of training, and he doesn't want to take any more of a suspension or anything like that. But the where this leaves us is, if the league comes back and says, hey, it's going to be at least a year and it's going to be indefinite, the NFLPA is then going to sue in federal court, which will allow Deshaun Watson most likely to play from week one.
So I'll say this, man. Deshaun Watson from the get-go has been very very firm on his position that he's done nothing wrong. And speaking of my our assistant producer, Jacob Ninja King, what's going on? He's on vacation at his aunt's house. That's why he's not here.
What's up, Jacob?
I had to tag his big brother in to help out tonight. But shout out to Jacob Ninja King. Everybody give Jacob a shout out. That's the hardest working 7-year-old assistant producer ever. Okay. Yes, but
he could have left some instructions for his replacement, because it's not going smooth. I'll tell you that.
But look, he's been pretty firm from the beginning that he's done nothing wrong. All the evidence is pointing towards he did something wrong, right? Now, either he is this is an elaborate conspiracy to bring down this innocent man,
one of the more popular players in the NFL.
Yeah, it's either that, or he's a psychopath, right?
His defense is hubris. He says, hey, I had a sterling reputation, and if I get in front of a microphone enough times and tell people I didn't do anything wrong, they're going to believe me because I'm Deshaun Watson.
At the very least, look, I can understand just from not even a legal standpoint, just a precedent standpoint, right? Like, you had other people that you could argue have done worse that haven't gotten that kind of suspension, right? So he's looking at it saying, look, these cases are being settled, all right? I know it sounds bad right now, but we'll settle it. It's going to be hush-hush. We're going to move on. I can take a 6-game suspension, which is what you gave Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, really, it was 8, but they knocked it down to 6.
I think it was actually 6, and they knocked it down to 4.
You might be right. Yes. So, okay, you give me that. I can move on. I can accept that. You try and give me a year. There's no precedent for it. And, we talked about it before, and the judge agreed. Like, you haven't set a precedent for this kind of thing. It's not going to start right now. So, not with her. So I think I can understand it from that point. Take out what he's actually done. Just hey, you didn't do it for this guy. You're not going to do it for me, and we'll fight it. Yeah.
So I mean, from the judge's standpoint, I understand. This is a I guess technically a first offense, despite the fact that there are a couple dozen women making accusations. There hasn't been any criminal charges. Obviously, nothing's been proven. So it's really kind of a first offense type situation. And like you said, you had other players who have been proven to do worse, who did not get suspended even this long. So from the judge's standpoint, I understand, given the 6 games and just kind of moving on from it. I think I don't know that the NFL really wants to go after a year. I think that he should be suspended for the year. But what you're looking at is if they try to go for a year and the NFLPA sues, he's just on the field every week, and then it's a story every week. And that's the number one thing the NFL doesn't want. Right? Yeah. They should be calling the NFLPA, they should be calling Watson's agent and saying, how many games will you accept? Above the 6. Hey, can we move this to 10? Can we move it to 12? Whatever it is, and stick with that number. And then you can come out and say, hey, we're tough on violence against women. We increased his suspension, and you get to put that story to bed to a certain extent. If you try to go all out, they sue in federal court, and he's just on the field playing, and who knows when it wraps up.
That's true. And Suge says, of course, Jose's going to bring up Big Ben. Suge is a Steelers fan. And listen, man, take it up with Big Ben. He's the one that did it. right? Like that's. I mean, if it was somebody else, we'd be using that as a point of reference. But Big Ben is the closest point of reference for this.
Yeah.
Right. Give us another example. You know, hey. And shout out to my guy Sterling, man.
What's up, Sterling?
Appreciate you coming through. Yes. She said, you know, never mind, Benny is stealing no more. Have at it. I just want you to know, in our overtime show, right? Look. I don't know how many of you guys are on Twitter and you're in these spaces, these Raven spaces. They get a little chippy at times. Suge is in there all the time, listening to them, and he comments about them, and he talks about how fun they are and how funny they are. But I always tell Suge, there's a reason why Suge, the Steelers fan, does not want to go into a Steelers space, right? Yeah. Because Steelers fans are insufferable, right? And last week was a perfect example of that. Because Suge had everybody else on the panel defending the Steelers while he was bashing his own team. He had us defending Troy Polamalu. That's how ridiculous Steelers fans are, man. But yeah, okay. So Deshaun Watson. Look, the NFL, and this is going to tie into the other story that we're going to talk about later on. But like, they have bigger fish to fry. As crazy as it sounds. Yeah. As crazy as it sounds, they have much bigger fish to fry because, we can't sit here and say, oh, well, the NFL doesn't do anything. They don't care about women, when we still have the Dan Snyder thing looming over everybody, right? So much so that he had to get called to Congress, Roger Goodell. And Roger Goodell had to sit there in front of Congress and say, I can't do anything. Yeah. Right? I can't do anything. I work for them. They're my bosses. Dan Snyder wants to come, or you want him to come and talk to you guys. He don't want to come and talk to you guys. I don't know. Right? You have Deshaun, the owner of the Browns. This is another thing that people don't talk about. Haslam, is that his name? Haslam. He was under federal investigation for a scheme that he was running with his company, Pilot Flying J. Yeah. He didn't go to prison. I know he had to pay a hefty fine
because everybody
else under him went to prison.
I wonder how that happened.
Right. You had some legit criminals with with this ownership, and what the NFL needs to be doing is looking to look to push out a lot of these owners and bring in some owners that can, not be under federal criminal investigation at the very least.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of my thing with it. We always talk about the NFL shouldn't be in the business of disciplining players for legal issues. Yeah. Because you can't do it fairly. You're not equipped to do it fairly, and it's not in your best interest to do it fairly. No. And when you look at something like Deshaun Watson, guys like Tyreek Hill, Ben Roethlisberger, the Giants kicker whose name I can't remember right now. The fact is, if they're good enough players, they're going to get jobs. Yeah. Regardless of what they've done. Regardless. Yeah. So, I would be in support of the NFL just saying, hey, you know what, is we have a zero tolerance policy, you're just out. But it's how do you enforce it, right? Because, like I said, Deshaun Watson hasn't been charged with anything. He hasn't been convicted of anything. He can stand up there and say, hey, all these women are lying, and none of us believe him, but we can't prove that. Right. So it's difficult to say, hey, you're not allowed to be in the league anymore. And so the actual solution is, like you're alluding to, just you need better people as owners, because your owners are awful human beings. Mm. They don't care about anything that these guys do off the field. None of it. And that's why it's allowed and these guys can keep playing. Look, Henry Ruggs, when he gets out of jail, he's going to be in the NFL. He's still going to be young. He's still going to be fast. Yeah, he's going to get a shot.
For Henry Ruggs, they didn't. He hasn't gotten a sentencing yet, right?
I don't believe he's gotten an actual sentencing yet, but I'm assuming that he's going to go to prison for some amount of time. And when he gets out,
he'll probably still be under 30.
He'll still be young enough to play, and he'll get a shot to play.
He absolutely will. Yeah.
And it's just, if you don't want those kind of players in the league, then you have to have people running the league who find that problematic, and you don't have that right now. Calvin Ridley is suspended for a year the reason he's suspended for a year is not because he did something horrible. He bet $1,500 on his team to win while he was at home injured. The reason is that goes to, it affects their business. It goes to the integrity of the game to have players gambling on NFL games. That's the only reason that got a stiff punishment. Everything else is just, whatever. As long as it's not, the punishment is kind of, it's on a sliding scale with how big a PR mess it is.
Yeah.
They won a year for Deshaun Watson because this has been a big deal for the past year and a half, however long it's been in the news, so they want to look strong on it. If nobody had been talking about Deshaun Watson for this whole time, he would have gotten the 2-game suspension like Ray Rice did initially. The league does not care.
And and I know Boogie Down was saying that it doesn't make the Browns a contender. It absolutely does. Do not sleep on this on his skills. Just him as a football player, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I noticed because he made our top 10 list that we did a couple of weeks ago. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out that video. All right.
Before you go, I want to this by Dave when Kraft chimed in. I threw my shoe. And just talk about just rubbing it in your face, right? About how they can do whatever they want. There's no repercussions. They don't have to. They don't have to read the room. It's just, hey, I'm an owner. You're not, and I'm gonna do and say whatever the hell I feel like it because I can.
That's a perfect example, though, right? Well, that's another good example is because he did something very similar. It's not the same volume, but it involved women that were victims of human trafficking. Right. Mm-hmm. He took part in that, and he obviously did something and they covered it up. He got charges dropped, but again, what the league likes to do is protect their owners and their, and those franchises. So what do they do? The evidence is destroyed, right? That tape's not getting out of what he did, what he was alleged to do. But it's not that far off, right? And there's no discipline for Robert Kraft. Even if you want to say, hey, charges were dropped in the NFL, you don't need to be proven guilty of anything, right? It's supposed to be the image of the shield, right? How does that make the NFL look? That's what it's about, right? Yeah. But it's not really about that. It's about putting your thumb on the players, having that control over the players.
Right. You remember a couple of years ago, Ezekiel Elliott got suspended for 6 games, and their own investigation said he didn't do anything.
Yes.
They went into Roger Goodell's office and said, well, not Rick Goodell's office. They went to the lead investigator and said, hey, he didn't do anything. We shouldn't punish him. And then the lead investigator went into Goodell's office and said, go ahead. 6 games. It's good.
Right. The person that they had to do the investigation, and she came out and said, no, this person is incredible. She's lying. They fired her.
Yeah.
Right. They said, okay, well, you're not giving us the answer, the result that we need. So,
right.
That was one of the more egregious things I've seen. Right. He should not have been suspended at all.
Well, that, and then you got the Terrell Pryor suspension from when he was coming into the league. He got suspended 5 games coming in as a rookie because he got tattoos in
college.
Paid for, or he got them for free from the tattoo parlor. So it doesn't have anything to do, the NFL discipline doesn't really have anything to do with legality. It's all just the PR for the league.
Yeah. All right. Want to go to the next story?
Yeah.
All right. So we got a Stephen Ross story. We're continuing our theme of owners doing the worst things and getting a slap on the wrist for it. This one they had to act on. I'll let you open it up and then I'll give my comments on it.
Yeah, so Stephen Ross, owner of the Dolphins, if you're not aware, that's the team that fired Brian Flores. That kind of prompted Brian Flores' lawsuit against the NFL that's still ongoing. Mm-hmm. Brian Flores said that Stephen Ross was encouraging them to tank, not only just verbally, but he was financially incentivizing it, saying, I'll pay you $100,000 for every loss. He also said that he was trying to get Brian Flores to participate in tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton to get them to come to Miami. Excuse me. So obviously, the Dolphins, they say that's not true. That didn't happen. We wouldn't do that. That's against the rules, blah, blah, blah. Investigation comes through, and they said, "Yeah, you tampered." And the Dolphins they've been stripped of their 2023 first round pick and their 2024 third round pick. Stephen Ross himself has been fined personally $1.5 million and has been suspended until the middle of October. I believe it's October 17th, but it's 1 day longer than Deshaun Watson's current suspension. So again, the draft picks are one thing. That's pretty severe, first and a third. But the fine and suspension for Stephen Ross is embarrassingly light. $1.5 million represents less than, I believe, a hundredth of his net worth. He is a billionaire, so that's nothing. Being suspended for an owner for the next 3 months, again, what does it mean? He can't go to owners' meetings, which maybe they'll have one or two within that time frame. So it's just kind of hey, we want to get ahead of this, and it's like an NCAA suspension. When a school knows that they violated NCAA rules and they know that, hey, there might be an investigation coming, they investigate themselves, they admit to whatever violations, and they punish themselves in hopes that the NCAA will go away, right? And that's kind of what this looks like to me, is like, hey, we investigated Stephen Ross. Hey, we found that he did this, he did that. Nothing on tanking, but we're going to fine him. We're going to strip him of draft picks. We're going to suspend him. And now, hopefully, we don't really have to deal with the consequences of Brian Flores' lawsuit later on. We can just say, hey, we looked into that, and it's just, the tanking thing didn't happen. This other stuff did, and we punished him for it.
Yeah. So my thing is this, right? Because this is out of Roger Goodell's hands. Like, these rules, because he's been suspended the maximum he's allowed to be suspended for this, right? According to their rules. The owners run the league. Roger Goodell doesn't run the league. He works for the owners. So they have it set up in place so they're protected. So this is out of Roger Goodell's hands. But the owners themselves should be coming together and saying, he's got to go. Same way with Daniel Snyder, right? Those are two problematic owners that it doesn't seem like it can happen now. The NFL seems like they're untouchable. Like, they can't, there's nothing that can really hurt them, because it generates a lot of money, generates a lot of revenue. They lobby a lot, to Congress to keep their exemption status, the antitrust exemption status, which keeps them up and running. But they can lose at any time. And whenever you have to get called in front of Congress, right, there's a small risk that they might decide these guys shouldn't be able to exist in the capacity that they exist in, right? And when you have stories like the Browns owner being under federal investigation, we have stories about Daniel Snyder, who has, all of these allegations from these different women, horrible allegations that span over years, and the GMs under him, with the racist emails and things like that. When you have an owner, because what he got in trouble for was tampering, with the player and the coach, right? Yeah. That's the one that they can slap him on the wrist for. The one that they don't want to address is the tanking, because now you're towing the line of point shaving, which is a crime, a serious crime, especially when you're talking about an owner who just bought some gambling company, right? That same year where they're talking about him offering Brian Flores $100,000 a game to tank. So that's serious, right? There's a lot of implications for that. And you don't want to have to go in front of Congress to answer those questions, right? So instead of having to deal with that, just say, vote him out, right? You get together and say, you know what? He had a nice run. When you sell the team, you'll make some good money, but you have to go, because you're going to cause us problems down the road. Because, and we didn't even talk about, the impact on you did a little bit, the Brian Flores case. But to me, I think this strengthens his case even more, because everything that he said that's allegedly happened has been proven to be true so far. It didn't even take that long. This investigation didn't even take that long. Brian Flores filed his lawsuit just a couple months ago. Right. And here we are. The NFL is like, yeah, he did it. Yeah. He did everything that Brian Flores said he did in the lawsuit. They just downplayed the tanking part of it.
And that's another, I said earlier that Deshaun Watson's defense was hubris, right? And then that's the same thing with NFL owners. Everything that he said they did, they did, and he can prove it because guys like Stephen Ross think that you can't do anything to me, you can't hurt me. It's the same thing that we saw with the Colin Kaepernick lawsuit, right? When they started talking about, hey, we know that there's evidence in your emails. We want to have that come out in discovery. Then the NFL said, we want to settle. We want to pay you a bunch of money, right? Because they don't want any of that stuff coming out publicly. They didn't want the emails in the Washington investigation coming out publicly because they say things in emails that to a normal person like you or I seems unbelievable that you would actually type that into a computer, read it over, and hit send, right? Because these are things you admit to things that you should never be admitting to. Like just even privately one-on-one, you wouldn't want to admit these things, but they're admitting it in a form that has in a medium that has a history, has records, evidence.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. Brian Flores says there were other witnesses. Why would you ever say that in front of other people? Why would you tell your head coach, "Hey, I'll give you $100,000 for every game we lose," if there's other people who can hear that?
There was a reporter, a news reporter, who said he spoke to those other witnesses. So, I mean, Brian Flores' case, it's not done. And I want to read a couple of comments here. Zal Martinez, shout out to you, man. He says, Brian Flores deserves to be head coach, not an assistant. Owners should lose their team to the city. Hey, I'm for that. Yes. Danity says, Flores was clearly telling the truth, and majority was substantiated with evidence. Yeah, I need to see the conclusion of his discrimination suit. Yeah, it's ongoing. It's not going anywhere. We're going to see more fallout from that, I think. And Derek D. Weezy says, I told y'all I expect Flores to take this year off and come back next year as Panthers head coach. Just saying. I'll say this, and I said this before when we talked about the Brian Flores case. I think what the owners should do, and I feel like maybe that this could be a thing, where they get together and they say, okay, look, Brian Flores, fine, he's on the Steelers coaching staff this year. Next year, he's going to be on somebody's team as a head coach, right, guys? Right? Like right. Somebody is going to make sure that he gets a job next year. I think Steve Wilks might be in, because Steve Wilks is in this lawsuit as well. And Steve Wilks has some things to say about the Cardinals. Now, what Brian Flores just did was just drop a couple nuggets, just some warning shots to let them know, hey, I have proof. Like this, like like they didn't give them everything, right? They gave them a little bit to let them know we're not playing around, right? If they want to drag this lawsuit out, okay, I have more. I guarantee you, Brian Flores has more to drop. I bet you he has more evidence on the tanking situation. I bet you he has more emails. The NFL's trying to make it seem like, oh, well, he was just joking when he said that. I bet you Brian Flores has multiple emails where he's asking him to tank games, where he's offering him money to tank these games.
I'm sure he has a lot more evidence, and I'm sure the longer this goes on and the more Flores is proven that he's being truthful in what happened, the more coaches will step forward with their own stories.
And the NFL does not want that. So I can see the NFL going to his lawyers and saying, listen, please, no mas. We will settle. You give us a number, we'll give it to you. That man, what teams is he looking at? What teams are he looking at? Like just give us a list. Keep an eye on some possible vacancies. You send us what team he likes, and we will get the word out, and he will be there. Okay. Did you want to go back to Miami? He can go back to Miami. The owner's about to be out of here anyway.
Now with Tua. No, sir.
Because you know what? Look, another thing too that Stephen Ross didn't get punished for was there has to be some violation of the Rooney Rule, because he was trying to hire Sean Payton without interviewing anybody else, right? Any minority coach, while he still had a minority coach, So there has to be some violation for that as well.
And to be honest, I'm not sure they haven't actually even said anything about the Giants, right? Because they're part of this as well. because that's where this all stems from. Bill Belichick sending him the text message congratulating him for getting the Giants job, but the Giants job had actually gone to Brian Daboll. And they said they had decided that before interviewing any minority candidates, which was kind of the origin of the lawsuit to begin with. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to come on this. The Steelers went out and they hired Brian Flores. He's an assistant there, I believe, with linebackers coach. So I think it's going to be pretty quiet during the season. He's probably not going to want to talk about it during the year very much at all. And he's an assistant coach. He's going to be a little bit out of sight, so it's not going to get brought up too much. But there's a lot coming from this in the future.
All right, I'm going to read a couple more comments, and then it's D Weezy time. All right. Deep Mahmood, thanks for coming through, my friend. Says, so the punishment for Ross is that he can go on his yacht and watch the games every Sunday and have others attend the meetings for him until October. Yeah. For rich people, that's a vacation. Yeah. He probably does that already, right? He doesn't go to every meeting. All right. And Adit, you have a YouTube channel, my friend. Plug your channel in the chat. Put that in the chat. Make sure you guys go check out his channel. He has him and his friend, I believe, have a sports channel. Yes. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to him. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Is Boogie Down being a distraction in our chat? Okay, I see a lot of people arguing with Boogie Down about the Browns. Boogie Down.
What's going on, Couch?
What's up, How you doing, Couch? Man? Thanks for coming through. Another Ravens YouTuber that you guys need to be subscribed to. All right, make sure you check out his channel. Okay.
Garnett reminding you, Denver might get hit too with the drunk interview. Yes.
You know what? You know what's funny about that? They didn't deny it.
Right.
Like that's the funny thing. Everything that Brian Flores put down that sounds outrageous, it's either been proven or not been refuted. Right.
It was like they showed up drunk and disheveled, and Elway was like, "I was perfectly polite."
He said, "I might be." He said, "If I looked disheveled, it's because we were up late." I forget what he said he was doing, studying film, whatever.
They had a red eye flight.
Had a red eye. Yeah. He didn't say He didn't say he wasn't drinking. He didn't say he didn't look disheveled, and he didn't say that they didn't show up late. Right. So they need to be very afraid of Brian Flores right now. He is throwing daggers at these people.
That's right, Suge. You go ahead and plug your show as well.
Yes.
And your channel.
Yes. We're working out the name right now. We're in negotiations.
All right.
Okay. All right. Guys, we still have we haven't gotten to the Ravens stuff yet. There's too much going on. There's too much going on. That's why we're trying to zip through this, because we don't want to be here for 2 hours like we were last week.
Definitely not.
Well, we have Ravens and Panthers stuff. We have a Kirk Cousins story to get to. All right. But right now, it is time for you gambling degenerates to get your pen and paper ready. Take down these hot takes from D Weezy. D Weezy is here to make you some money. He's here to answering your betting questions. If you're new to this, if sports betting is becoming legal in your area and you want in on that action, this is the man to talk to right here.
Yes,
D Weezy.
D Weezy is on fire.
On fire. What is going on, my friend?
Not much. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, we doing great, man. Tell them about how fire your takes are right now.
Well, I mean, as it stands over the past 4 or 5 days, including my episode that I put out earlier today on Backyard Action Media, I'm 8-5-1 plus 5 units at the moment. So if you're $100 better, that's $500. If you're a $10 better, that's $50. And even if you're a $1 better, that's $5. So not only am I paying for your Patreon membership, I'm working on that next candy bar.
There you go. So you don't have, it's not either or. You can have both. The best of both worlds. See what I'm saying?
That's right.
All right. So what we got going on? What we got?
Yeah, a couple games I was looking at for tonight that are still yet to have first pitch and tip off. I got Shohei Ohtani, his strikeout prop, over 8.5. It is minus 150, which is a bit on the high side for juice when it comes to a prop. But this is something y'all have heard me mention before. And even in the past, I believe the last time I gave Ohtani's K prop out, I said take the over on a 7.5 and that he could go for double digits. And if I'm not mistaken, that night he put up 12. So 8.5 is a number that this man can clearly reach. He's put up double-digit strikeouts in many appearances throughout the season. So even with that high juice, I'm not afraid getting behind this play. The other play I have for tonight is the Dodgers on the run line -1.5. I was able to find it on just the other side of plus money at a 104, I believe. Their team they've been putting up a lot of runs recently, and they've been covering the run line a lot recently. And their opponent, I'd have to double check, but I do remember they, I believe, 2-8 against the run line. Who are they playing? The Giants, 2-8 against the run line in their last 10 games. So that being said, I'm gonna be riding with the Dodgers tonight on the run line. And the other side, that LA connection, we got Ohtani on the mound, over on his K props.
All right, and Degenerate Ron is here. He says, Orioles put mortgage money up on those O's. Degenerate Ron's bets. Orioles money line. He wants some money. That's what he's saying. Okay. LA Dodgers run line. That's all it is.
Yes.
Run line. -1.5. Oakland run line.
Milwaukee run line and Colorado plus 1.5.
Yeah. What up, D Weezy?
I'd have to look into the Milwaukee and Colorado matchup. It wasn't one that I was looking at particularly. But y'all just heard me say how much I'm down for the Dodgers run line tonight. The Oakland run line, I definitely think that's a possibility. They're going up against the Angels tonight. The Angels have been a team that struggled to put up runs. So even though you have Ohtani going on the mound for them, even if Oakland doesn't put up but 1 or 2 runs in the game, that might be enough to cover that 1.5. Oh yeah, that's another fact. Something I was going to get into. Those that follow baseball, they've heard about the Juan Soto trade. And a little example for those that don't follow baseball, something I had said in the Discord. You can think of a trade like this almost being like Tyreek Hill going to the Buccaneers instead of going to the Dolphins, and the Bucs not giving up any core pieces. This is the baseball equivalent of the Rams going all out to win the World Series. This team's odds literally jumped from around plus 2,200 to win the World Series to plus 900 after the trade was announced or completed. So, I mean, any way you look at this deal, it was a fairly monumental move that clearly did more than just create a little wave in the World Series markets and outlooks for the baseball season. Oh, you on mute, Jose?
Sorry about that. So I would say we're not big on baseball here, but there's something I want to tease. We're going to tease it for an overtime show. I just want to put it out there. Okay, you mentioned Ohtani a couple of times, right? As I understand it, Ohtani is like the man in baseball. He's the equivalent of having a quarterback like Pat Mahomes, who puts up amazing passing numbers, but also on defense can get to the quarterback like Aaron Donald. Is this true?
That's an accurate way of looking at it. I mean,
okay.
A more realistic example is what you saw out of a Deion Sanders, where he went out, he locked down people on the baseball field, in one fashion. And then when it came to on the football field, locking people down. And then on the baseball field, you saw that skilled, pass over, and you saw that ability. But yes, this is definitely like having somebody playing both ways, whether it be regardless of what positions you want to use. Yeah, it's definitely a rare talent to have.
So I want to know, I want to throw this question out. We're not going to answer it now. Why isn't he like blowing up baseball right now? Why isn't he the face of baseball? Why isn't this guy a bigger household name? I want you to hold that thought. We're teasing it for the overtime show. I know Buck is in the chat. I know he's like, yes, because he loves baseball. We don't talk baseball that much. I know Zaul, he's a baseball fan. He wants to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about it on the overtime show. There's Buck right there. He says he's got San Diego at plus 2,200 last week, and it's at 1,100 now. All right. Yes. All right. Look. Hold those thoughts.
I got responses to that question.
Hold those thoughts. All right. We're gonna talk about the overtime show. We'll let everybody know how you can be a part of the overtime show. But for right now, you want more of you want more of these hot takes. D-Weezy, tell them where they can get more.
Yeah, y'all can find me at Backyard Action Media on YouTube. You can also reach out to me on Twitter at dweatherly90. You know, I'm here every week with Jose and Brodny. I'm doing videos currently breaking down NFL game totals on the LGR network. As you've heard the fellas say many times, we got a growing community of content creators, not just Ravens, not just one sport. You know, Buck, he's got a baseball series going with a couple fellas. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons to join up for that Discord. Y'all hear me talk about it, just, you know, the betting stuff and other angles and things that you can get at. But there's also, if you have other interests, cover other sports, anything like that, there's a wide variety of people up in the Discord.
All right, there you have it. And D-Weezy will be a part of our overtime show. You don't want to miss that. D-Weezy, we will see you soon, my friend.
All right, everybody take care out there.
All right. Yes. Okay, so, you got it, B? Go ahead. Yeah. All right, right there, patreon.com/LBHT Show. All right, that's where you can find the overtime show. We have 3 tiers that you can sign up for, $3 tier, $10 tier, and the $20 tier. All right, and we have some great benefits for each tier, and B's going to tell you about those benefits real quick.
Yeah, so for the $3 tier, that will get you entrance into our NFL Pick'em League that we run every year, where, you know, the winner gets a custom LBHT trophy at the end of the season. The $10 tier gets you into our Fantasy Football League. We have a Dynasty League going on right now. If there's enough interest, we'll get a second Dynasty League going. But we are going to run a redraft league come out pretty soon. Probably have some more details on that for you next week. In the Dynasty League, the winner gets a custom championship belt. You can see on the side plates there, the winner gets to put their logo on the belt for the following season. At the $10 tier, you also get to request specific content. If you want articles or videos on a sports topic, we'll produce
like Zaul was saying right now. He says, y'all gotta be a Patreon. That way we can talk Yankees and Knicks more. Zaul, we owe him a Yankees video. We're gonna make a Yankees video for him. Yeah. He requested a Knicks video last month, and we put a lot of thought and effort into that. We had our guy Ferris, who's a Yankees fan, on there, and it sparked a spirited discussion. So
yes, it did.
Yes.
The $10 tier also gets you our LBHT crew coin that Jose has there with him, I believe.
Yes, I do have it right here. All right.
And the $20 tier is a combined tier for this show, as well as our boxing podcast, Ring Kings podcast. You'll get everything that I just mentioned, as well as our custom poker set featuring our top 25 fighters of all time. And again, all tiers get you entrance into the overtime show that Jose just mentioned and the Discord channel.
Yes. And also, you see the ticker right there.
Wait, one more thing. As of today, we now offer annual memberships instead of monthly with a 10% discount.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there you go. Save a little money on the annual membership. That's what I'm talking about. And do you like what we're wearing? Do you like that? People, when I walk in the store, because I wear this everywhere, we got to plug our brand, right? Yes. You like that? It looks nice, all right? Right there on the bottom, right there on the ticker. Take that down for a second, B. I'm gonna give you a better visual here, all right? LBHTshow.com/shop. That's where you can find it. You like what B's wearing? B is the king of beanies. Okay, he's always wearing a beanie on the show. If you like it, that one says Ring Kings podcast. That's our other channel. All right, we have Ring Kings merch on there. He's wearing it. I got my water bottle here. Right, if you like that, you like the mug. We have tons of stuff on the store. We're going to be making some updates soon. We got a surprise for you guys coming up here.
Yeah. Really exciting stuff coming up. I mean, you guys might not think it's exciting, but we do.
So make sure you go check out the merch, and you see something you like, man, go ahead and copy it and let us know what you think of it. Also, we mentioned Ring Kings podcast. That's our other channel, fast growing channel. We're putting a lot of content in there. Very excited about that. Make sure you go over there and subscribe if you're a fan of boxing, or if you just like hanging out with us and our friend OTR Mike, who is working hard right now. All right, shout out to him. But yes, there we go.
I know asking how much is the annual membership. It
depends on your tier.
It's 10% off of whatever tier you select. So if you pick the $10 tier, it would be, it's 120 minus the 10% would be 108.
There you go. All right, give me some quick math right there. All right, save a few dollars. But yeah, lots of value for that. Again, if you're looking for this super chat, there are two ways to do it. Right below B, $ LBHT Show. That's our Cash App. Also, the pin link that you see in the comment, both ways, you can just leave a donation, leave a comment, and you get a nice little animation right next to my face right there. All right. And I appreciate you guys. Buck is being funny. B can do math. Damn.
I count your money every month, Buck.
Yeah, MDT Sports. We know who Top Billing is, man. I like Top Billing. Shout out to him. Yeah. I think he does good work. There's a lot of YouTubers that I like, man, that I admire. There's a lot of them out here that are putting in a lot of work, man. Look, when you're on this side and you see what it takes to produce a show weekly and just put out a lot of content, it makes you appreciate what a lot of these bigger channels are doing, man. It's a lot of work. So shout out to Top Billing, man. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we got another story. We're going to get to we have a few more things to talk about. Okay.
Yeah. You want to do the just the Ravens and Panthers real quick? Because there's not a whole lot to go into there. Okay. We can talk about the Ravens and Panthers real quick.
We'll talk Ravens and Panthers. I want everybody in the chat. Tell me if you know what this story is about with Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer. Just say yes, I know if you know, or no if you don't. You didn't hear the story. I'm curious because I didn't find out about it until like a week after this story was reported. All right, so I'm just curious. If you know, throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat. All right. Training camp.
So
where you want to start?
I'll start off with Carolina because like I said, there's not a whole lot to say right now. CJ Saunders is out there looking pretty good. They're saying that our guy Dunk on Demand. I can't remember the channel name. I cannot remember it. Oh no.
Oh, Unnecessary Bluntness.
Unnecessary Bluntness. Thank you. Yes.
Aaron Duncan.
And if you don't know about him, definitely go and hit subscribe on his channel as well.
Cool dude, man.
He's doing a lot of work from training camp, getting a lot of highlights and everything, covering all the practices. He's saying that CJ Saunders is out there getting a sizable portion of the wide receiver 3 reps. So it may be that Terrace Marshall is not carrying his spring through to the summer, or it may be just that they want to, rotate guys in and see what everybody has. CJ Saunders had a strong training camp last year, but he didn't make the team. Maybe they're just giving him a little extra opportunity, but that's just something to keep an eye on there. The talk is out there from Joe Person that, Kwanu, who they drafted number 6 overall to play left tackle, has not won the left tackle job yet. Matt Rule wants him to earn the starting spot. He mentioned that Joe Person did that Evan Neal is taking all the first team reps with the Giants, right? The other tackle who was drafted high is taking all the first team reps with their team, and Matt Rule wants Ikwanu to earn the spot. And I hate it. I hate it when coaches do things like that because he's the starting left tackle. He's going to be the starting left tackle, and if he's not the starting left tackle, that reflects poorly on you. Not even necessarily on him. Yeah. I mean, it'll be, hey, he was overdrafted, but you took him there to play him from snap 1 through the entire season. Yeah. So put him in and see if he can do it. Let him get comfortable playing against the ones. Let him get comfortable playing with the rest of the O-line. You're not proving anything by making him beat out Cameron Irving. Or if you got him in competition with Brady Christensen, who should just be playing at left guard, just get the O-line, get the best O-line out there, and let them grow together. This is ridiculous. I hate these little things that coaches do, where you've got to earn this, you got to earn that. It's moral. These little moral victories through camp, they're nonsense. Outside of that, everybody's talking about Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Sam Darnold's bad. Baker's been looking pretty decent, as you would expect, right? I mean, he's not a terrible quarterback or anything like that. Matt Corral, I think, has been looking better than I would have expected. I think that he's going to need to get on the field and just kind of play through some mistakes, but I'm not sure when he's going to get that opportunity.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Tanja. I saw you come in here, Tanja. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming through. Look, Boogie Down. We're gonna talk about your social media situation in the bonus time show. I have a suggestion. I just have a suggestion.
Mr. J says people keep complaining Icky not taking more reps at left tackle as long as we have a solid O line. Who the hell cares? I care. They used the 6th pick on him.
Well, I mean, okay, if you have a solid O line, but isn't that contingent on him playing well?
Yeah,
right.
They don't have any other left tackles. Not really.
Yeah, like that's contingent on him working out, and the issue is you're wasting valuable reps for this guy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows he's going to be your starter. That's not. I mean, you're talking about a coach who's on the hot seat, to say the least. A lot of people think he's a lame duck coach, right? He's fighting for his job. You have to use the talent that the team's providing you, right? Tepper and Fitterer, right? And you, I'm assuming the 3 of you guys, I'm talking about the coach, are putting together your notes. You guys are coming to agreement on making these picks, right? You didn't have that many picks in the draft, so Ekwonu had to be the consensus pick. Like, I think everybody understood this is the guy that we need to get. This is the guy that's going to anchor our left side. So why are you playing around pretending like it's a competition when everybody knows it's not? You're doing that because that's just an old way of thinking in football that, everybody has to go out there and earn their spot. Nothing's given. That's cliche. Okay. Where's my book of cliches? Let me dust up my book of cliches here.
Yeah.
Let me dust up the book of cliches. It says it's an open competition. That's a lie. That's just something that they say, right?
Not only is it cliche, it's inconsistent with the way that you yourself handled last offseason, because you traded for Sam Darnold and you immediately picked up his 5th-year option. He didn't earn that. Right. He didn't earn it. And you know what happened? You went 3-0 and then you finished the season with 5 wins. Did you want to pick up the option then? You didn't see any of them before you went ahead and said, yeah, we want to keep this guy for his 5th year. You know what I mean? So it's ridiculous. I can't stand it. It makes no sense. They're doing it at quarterback as well right now. You drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round. Yeah, all right, Danity.
At least he got his money. Yes, Donald did get his money.
You drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round. You traded for another quarterback. There is 0 chance that Sam Darnold is your starter.
But I don't understand, Mr. J. You're saying Quentin Nelson was taking 6 overall, and look at him. He could do the same. Quentin Nelson started from the jump. He was a first-team All-Pro in his rookie year. Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe he's talking about training camp. I'm not sure how training camp went. Maybe it was a competition. But even in that situation, it's ridiculous, right? Why are you wasting your time, making it, pretending that it's a competition? It's not a competition, right? I know why they do it. I just don't agree with it. It's one of those things like where you want to keep them hungry, you want to keep them humble, let them understand that nothing's given to them. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, when you're picked that high, it's understood that when you getting a player that high, they had that mentality already. You don't need to play these old Jedi mind tricks with a 6th pick overall, right? He understands what his responsibility is. He's supposed to be more NFL ready than the other players that are drafted after him. Yeah, that's what it should be.
Well, and not only that, he's ready to play. He's supposed to be better than the guys that you have at that position. Otherwise, don't use that pick on that position.
Yeah. Sam Darnold, so far, good reports, man. We'll see. Like I said, I think he's going to start the season hot. I think he's going to start the season hot.
Baker Mayfield, you mean?
I said Sam Darnold, didn't I? Yeah. I apologize. Sam Darnold is not looking hot. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is going to start the season hot. That's never been his issue. He has the talent. His issue is consistency. I just don't think he's going to hold it up over 17 games. Right? Yeah. I wouldn't even be surprised, even with Deshaun Watson playing week 1. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys beat Cleveland.
I kind of would. I went on with our guy Caleb and Derek on LGR talking about the NFC South, And, I was going over all the positives for Carolina, right? Let's say Baker plays really well. Let's say Christian McCaffrey is healthy. Let's say Terrace Marshall, carries that strong spring through to the season. He's just the player they thought he was. The O-line comes together. It's a really good O-line. You got a young, talented defense. Even all that together, I looked at their schedule and I saw maybe 6 games that were realistically winnable. Cleveland was one of them. I don't think they are anymore with Deshaun Watson playing. So I think it's just going to be a bad season.
All right, look, we'll see. All right, let's get to the okay. Tanja wants to know Ring Kings this weekend. There's no Jake Paul fight that has been canceled allegedly, so we may not be doing a live stream. We are putting out content though. We got so much to put out, so there will be content. Live stream probably not. We'll see though. We'll see. All right, what we got here? What are you looking at?
Mr. J said, I understand the frustrations, but at the end of the day, the Panthers haven't had solid O-line pieces in a long time. I'm happy we can potentially have 2 starting caliber LTs in Brady Christensen and Icky.
Okay, I hear you.
I'm not sure that they do. I still don't really believe in Brady Christensen at left tackle, but they believe in him at left guard. They think that he's a very good left guard, and if he's really good at that, let him play that. And the guy that you drafted to play left tackle, let him play left tackle.
Yeah, I agree. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. You only have training camp isn't that long, man. You only have it a couple of weeks, especially for these rookies and these young players. Don't waste time playing around like that. Let them get in the position that they're going to be in, and let them get as many reps as possible.
And the thing is, like that's what you drafted him for, right? And he's going to struggle. Basically all offensive linemen do, with very few exceptions. Yeah. So you have to put him out there and let him play and let him struggle. Brady Christensen wasn't great last year. He had his fair share of ups and downs, mostly downs, I would say. But people think he showed some promise, and he's coming back better this year. So they feel good about it. Yep. Give Ekwonu that same thing. You let him go out there and play the position that you drafted him to play, and see where you go from there. I mean, look, I guess if you feel like this team is going to make a playoff run, you feel like they're a contender, I would see a different argument. I don't think they are. I think that they are I think they're a very bad team. And in that case, I just want to see what these guys have. That's why I want to see Matt Corral play instead of trading for Baker Mayfield. I know what Baker Mayfield is. I don't want it. Okay. Yeah. I want to see what Matt Corral has, see if there's anything there, see if they need to replace him for next season.
I agree. And Tanja, hold on, wrong one. Tanja said that she said Deshaun Watson is not playing week 1. You didn't see our story earlier, Tanja.
He very well may be. The NFL filed their appeal on his 6-game suspension, and they are saying they're looking for an indefinite suspension, which would trigger a lawsuit from the NFLPA, which would allow Deshaun Watson to play week 1.
Yeah, so he might be playing every game this year. It could drag out until the offseason. He might miss. If it does, he'll miss time next year because there'll be some sort of suspension. But he could be playing every game this year. All right. Okay. Any more thoughts on Panthers?
No, that's it. Like I said, there's not a whole lot going on, and it's still fairly early. So the games are starting tomorrow. That's pretty exciting. Tomorrow's a Hall of Fame game, but there'll be more to talk about as preseason gets going.
And shout out to Dave, Rashad and Dave from Panthers Nation podcast. I was looking at his stream the other day, and Dave said it. He's like, I think the first week of training camp is just kind of putting on the show for fans. There's a lot of open practices and things like that, and players are just showing up and kind of getting into a groove with things. The following weeks are when things really pick up. That's when people are fighting for jobs, fighting for spots on the team. That's when it really picks up from there. So the next couple of weeks is when you really want to pay attention to who's doing what out there. All right. What are you reading?
I was reading Mr. J taking shots at your former wide receiver. Former Ravens Hollywood Brown gets arrested. He thought he was playing Mario Kart on the highway. Will he do time? Will he get suspended? Find out next time on the next episode of LBHT.
We'll say that for bonus time. Let's get to the Ravens stuff real quick, and I want to do his Kirk Cousins story. So we'll do a quick bonus time, and we'll discuss Hollywood Brown. I say free the man. Okay. All right. Ravens. So I mean, look, Lamar's looking great.
Yeah.
He's looking great. He threw his second interception of camp today. Depending on who you got the story from, it was his fault or it wasn't his fault. But outside of that interception, he's been pretty accurate. Mark Andrews looks excellent. There's no surprise there. Isaiah Likely, I've been hearing his name a lot. He's looking pretty good so far. So that's somebody I want to see if he continues to pick it up, because we need it. Look, the wide receivers, Prochet has made some good catches. Duvernay has made a couple of touchdown catches, and Rashad Bateman's looking as expected. He's looking excellent. So far, there's nothing really bad to report from camp. I know the other day, was it yesterday, defense they said they had a really good day. Always looked good. Kyle Hamilton was looking good. So yeah,
there's a couple things I do want to point out, though. Like it is worth mentioning, I think, that every time you get like the full summary of what happened, right? You get one of the beat writers saying, "Oh, Lamar was 15 for 22," whatever it is. They always mention that, yeah, most of the passes went to Bateman and Mark Andrews, right? Yeah. It's not a thing of, hey, we're spreading the ball around. These guys are all looking good. It's, they have a couple catches here and there, but the majority of the passes are going to Bateman and Mark Andrews. I would like to see that kind of even out and see what the other guys can do.
I think over the next couple of weeks, it will, right? I think, I think it will. I think you're going to see guys really competing for these positions, for these spots. You're going to see guys like Andrew that they're not going to ramp like your starters up throughout the whole camp, right? Like they're starting out early, and then we get into preseason, and then as it starts to wane down, they're not going to be getting as many reps. They're going to get them ready for the start of the season, and you're going to see those other guys out there getting more work, I believe. Right?
Yeah. So our guy Mills RX, who has the
Mills
channel Game Medicine, he's just letting us know in the DMs there that Duvernay missed his third straight practice today. So the bruise is a little more severe than initially thought. He said he's not real worried about it. He expects him to be held out for the rest of the week, maybe. But if it is a mid quad strain, he could miss about a week of practice, but hopefully not.
That was during that night practice when he collided with somebody, right? Yeah. I don't think they think it's that serious either, but I think they have high expectations from Duvernay this year as well, right? So I don't think that they're that worried about him in terms of his place on the team.
I wanna say that these are Garnett's words.
These are not my words. Because pedestrians evolved is basically what Brodny is saying. Look, man, we have what we have, right?
Yeah.
Man, I know you guys think we're big Prochet haters or anything like that. We're not haters, man. Like, we call it how we see it, but he's here. He's on the team. I want this guy to perform, right? King 95 says Prochet is going from being cut to wide receiver 2. How, Jose? Listen, man, it might happen, right? Look, we don't have any receivers.
I mean, if you want to know how, it's because your front office is incompetent. The same way the Colts went from Peyton Manning to Curtis Painter and Kerry Collins starting the next year. It's not because they earned it. It's because they wanted to lose games. Let's calm it down a little bit, Kay.
So look, it's too early. Look, it's too early to determine. I still feel like there's a chance that he gets cut. I know it sounds ridiculous now because we have 3 wide receivers on the team, right? But I think we are going to sign a veteran, and it's just a matter of, will Tylan Wallace step up in preseason, and will one of these undrafted rookies kind of stand out a little bit? They don't even need to stand out a whole lot. They just need to stand out a little bit and play a little bit of special teams, and that'll be enough to get Prochet up out of there, right?
And from what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, Shamar Bridges looks like the most likely to make the team so far in camp, but obviously a long way to go.
I'm not saying he is a definite, but Prochet ain't a lock by any means. He's not a lock. I'm sorry. I know people like him. He's not a lock. All right. Mr. J says, I need Prochet to get 100 yards and a touchdown in the first preseason game in the first 2 series in order for me to join the hype.
Right.
Yeah. I said it last year, the year before. Like he needs to have a Victor Cruz type preseason, where he just really shows that those second, third, and fourth stringers don't belong on the field with them. Like there's just no way that those guys can cover him. That's what he needs to show consistently. He hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
Tom just says don't sleep on Tylan Wallace. I hope he gets his opportunity as well. Prochet and Moore was showing up Saturday at M&T. Yeah, like those practices are light practices. Those aren't the practices where people are really competing. They're not. Those are something that they put on a show for the fans. They're trying to make sure people don't get hurt, things like that. But those practices that the cameras aren't allowed to go to, that's where you really start to find out who's doing what. So we're gonna find out.
So moving on to our last story.
Wait, before we do that, Lamar Jackson is reported that he has gained over 20 plus pounds of muscle. Now, there are some people in the media that think that's a bad thing. He put on. Hey, what's going on, Coach? Shout out to Sip to Tally Film.
What's up,
Coach Evans? We're going to be on his show on Friday at 8 o'clock.
Coach going to give us a talking to.
He is. He going to school us. I'm here for it, man. Coach, I am curious, Coach. I am curious. What do you think about all the muscle that Lamar Jackson put it on? Because I'm hearing from a lot of people that, hey, that's just going to slow him down. That's not necessarily a good thing. I think it's fine because last year it was, hey man, like he's kind of small. He gets hit too many times. He won't be able to hold up like Josh Allen holds up, right? Josh Allen takes violent hits. I don't show you how many Bills games you guys watch. He takes violent hits, and they're like, oh, he can handle it because he got a bigger frame. Well, now
that's what they say. That's what they say, Vanity. Coach says he don't like it.
Okay. I don't think it slows him down that much. I think he's still going to be the fastest guy on the field, right? And if he's not the fastest guy in the field, maybe the second fastest or the first fastest will be Duvernay or somebody like that. It won't be anybody on defense, right? I'm not worried about it. And also, I think he's sending a clear message. Yeah, it depends on how well he moves. Yeah, sure. But I think he's sending a clear message. I am a quarterback, right? He's working with a quarterback guru who's at practice. I can't remember the guy's name.
Dido or something. Dido,
like that. Yeah, Dido, something like that. The Ravens have invited him there. He's there right now, working closely with Lamar. If you watch any film of him just practicing throwing the ball, the dude's standing right on his hip, telling him what to do. And right behind his QB whisperer is Greg Roman taking notes. Okay. So he's put in a lot of work in passing, and so far all that we're hearing is he looks great passing the ball, right? And you're talking about a man just a couple years ago who led the league in touchdown passes, who was a unanimous MVP. He's improved as a passer. He put on some more muscle, add to his frame. I don't think if it slows him down, I don't think it really slows him down, right? Like, yes, muscles are, that's a lot, it's kind of heavy, but it's not dead weight, right? Like those muscles are going to help him, are going to help him run, right? So I'm not worried about that. But yes, we want to see how he moves. You don't want him to lose all his athletic ability because that's what made him really special. Like you can't discount that. But I think he wants to show that other side of him too, and he's going to force the Ravens into doing so. Yeah. So I'm cool with it. We got 66 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button, and if you are new, hit the subscribe button. Yes, indeed. All right. You ready? We're ready.
Yes.
Now, I didn't see how many of you guys know about the Kirk Cousins story. How many of you guys know about the Kirk Cousins celebration? You like that? Pop, pop, punch to the chest. All right. Wow. Dave says, I know. What are you reading, B?
But we're not gonna do this, man. You need to rein it in.
Yeah, listen. We're gonna talk about. Don't put that on the screen. Look, we're gonna talk about your social media situation. You said that you've been banned pretty much everywhere. Maybe you should look inside, right? Yeah. Maybe there's a reason why. And before it happens on YouTube, maybe you should just calm it down a little bit. All right. But there will be no disrespect of our guy coach. In fact, you might have to go in a little timeout. So Shug, you might have to do the honors. You might have to go on a little timeout. Okay. There will be no slander of coach over here. Not on this show. Okay.
No.
Coach is our guy. How many times do we reference coach on this show?
Every week.
Every week. Every week.
So to move on to this Kirk Cousins story, this is a story from last season. I believe it was in October of last season, but it got new life this past week when Mike Zimmer came out and told what really happened, right?
On a radio show. He was on a radio show.
Yeah. So at the time, it was their game against Detroit. Minnesota was losing. They were 1-3. They went down the field. They kicked a game-winning field goal as time expired, and Kirk Cousins, kind of got in Mike Zimmer's face, and they were yelling at each other. They were celebrating, kind of pushing each other and everything. They ran out on the field, right? And that's how it was reported. Oh, weird celebration between these guys. And then it came out when Mike Zimmer was talking. Obviously, later on, he was fired. And he did an interview, and he said that it wasn't a celebration. They had kind of butted heads the week before. He called out Kirk Cousins, told he needed to be better, right? And he wasn't doing what he needed to do. He needed to improve, as coaches do. And Kirk Cousins did not speak to him for the week. You said you did have the quote in here, correct?
I do, yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can pull it up.
You want me to pull it up?
Here.
I can pull it up for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
There you go.
Tension had been rising between Kirk and myself after the loss to the Browns. I told him face to face he needs to be better. Kirk didn't say a word to me the whole week going into that game versus Detroit. Skip ahead to that last drive, and Kirk comes right up next to me as Greg is getting ready to kick it. Greg nails the kick. We win the game, and then Kirk turns and grabs me and says, "You effing like that. I just saved your job." I was ready to punch him in that moment. Instead, I pushed him off of me. That was my breaking point with Kirk right there.
And also, so, that he says that, and we could follow it up with some video evidence. I got that right here. There it is. And he has to be held back by the coach. At first, it looks like, maybe they're celebrating a little, yeah, good job. But then, you get that hard shove. Oh, sorry about that, B. You get that hard shove, and the coach has to hold him back because it's something serious. And it was a little subtle thing, too. You see that player jump in between them like he's celebrating, but he's also trying to make sure he's standing in between Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer, right?
Because Kirk punched him in the chest and then grabbed him and got in his face and was screaming at him. And, look, Mike Zimmer's not a well man. He's had a lot of health issues, recently, but that was Kirk, at 2-3, after not winning the game himself, after the kicker won the game for him. They beat Detroit, I believe it was 17-16, trying to take credit and saying, "You like that, and I saved your job." He got fired. And just not being able to accept any kind of criticism for not being the player that a lot of people say that he is. He has the numbers. He's figured out. He's sort of like Alex Smith. Because Alex Smith, when he came in, he it sort of looked like the NFL wasn't for him, right? He wasn't on that level. He turned the ball over a lot and everything, but he worked himself into being a good game manager, and he learned how to win within himself. And he took Kansas City to the playoffs a few times. And had himself a really, really nice career. Kirk Cousins has learned how to protect his numbers but not win games.
Yes.
But apparently he thinks that's enough, and he thinks it's okay to physically assault his coach because, hey, I just beat one of the worst teams in the league, and now we're still under 500, and you're still going to get fired.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Darren. What's going on, my friend? Thanks for coming through.
What's up, Darren?
Yeah, and Don C. It is wild. And Don C, we see you in here, man. Thanks for coming through. Man, I love that so many of you guys come in here and every week and hang out with us, man. We really enjoy this, man. This is so much fun.
Kirk was just asking if Coach liked that.
So okay, this goes all the way back to his time in Washington under Jay Gruden. It was reported or rumored. I think it was a report that one off season, I think it was his second year as the starter. They had to send him to a sports psychologist, right? Like he didn't have it, right? Yeah. Like there's a mental block, and you could tell that there was something there. Like you could tell that he was fragile. He had to be handled with kid gloves, because when he messed up, like when he messed up, we always used to crush Jay Gruden for it, because the way they treated RG3, there was a lot of criticism towards him. Somebody who had a lot more talent, and then they replaced him with Kirk Cousins, who in the very beginning was god awful.
He was he was one of the he had one of the highest turnover ratios in the history of football.
Yes,
he was a terrible quarterback. I remember specifically after one game against Atlanta, I believe it was in overtime. He tried to throw an out route to the short side of the field. It got intercepted, and Atlanta won the game. And afterwards, people were asking Jay Gruden about it, and he said, "Yeah, it was real windy out there."
Yeah, yeah, like they covered for him, they protected him, and his stats improved, and they got to the playoffs one year, and then they lost. And the Redskins just said, "Hey, we've taken him as far as we can take him. He's not worth the investment. He wants a lot of money, and we know he's not worth that." Right? So they let him walk. They franchised him twice, and they let him walk. And Minnesota picked him up because they thought he was going to be an upgrade over what's his name, Keenum. Or Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater. And I think he made them worse, right? Like he made them a worse team. Immediately, Stephon Diggs says, "Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to play with this guy. Trade me." I wish Adam
Thielen had a moment on the sidelines where, I mean, I can't read lips, but and I'm not a body language expert, but I'm just going to give you my thought. It was, "Get away from me, or I'm going to knock you out, Kirk." Because stop talking to me.
Yes, yes.
You're a terrible quarterback. I'm a great receiver. Don't try to tell me how to do what I do.
And now we see video footage of him punching his coach and on the sideline after a win, because he didn't like something that the coach said last week, the prior week, and
gave him the silent treatment for a week, and then said, "How you like that? How you like me now?" Yeah, we beat Detroit.
Yeah. On a last second field goal
to be still under 500.
And the funny part is, right? The funny part is he waited, right? Because he wasn't sure they're gonna make the field goal. It was like a 54-yard kick. Like, I'm gonna stand there next to the coach, because if he misses, I'm gonna have to walk away and not say anything. Yeah, he didn't say anything beforehand. He didn't sit there and say, "I just won you. I just saved your job here. I just saved your job." He waited, and then afterwards, then he's like, "In your face, you didn't win the game."
Yeah, it wasn't like I released the shot and I'm walking away with my hand in the air like Larry Bird moment. It was he didn't go out there and throw for 400 and 5 or 6 touchdowns and really put a beat down on Detroit. Like, they limped across the finish line and the kicker won that game.
Yeah,
but Kirk is Kirk.
But we bring this up because what you're hearing in the headlines recently is Lamar's not a tier 1 quarterback. Pat Mahomes is not a tier 1 quarterback. That's the most insane thing I ever heard. I would want to know if I'm a head coach, I would want to know if my defensive coordinator said that, because I would have to replace him immediately, right? But like you're hearing those stories. You're hearing about you're hearing about what's his face in Arizona, Kyler Murray. You're hearing about Kyler Murray not doing his homework, not doing film study. The guy put it in the closet. It's funny, but it makes them look like, hey, these guys aren't serious about the jobs. They're not that good. This isn't that. But here you have the epitome of average in Kirk Cousins, the epitome of average, and that's being that good. And that's being kind, who has gotten multiple guaranteed. He's a first quarterback, I think, that's got the fully guaranteed contract.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to getting paid.
Yes,
not on the field.
And he has put that team in a position to where they can't afford to move on, because they're kind of in limbo with quarterback, and they just had to extend him, and his cap hit is just way too much to even consider cutting him, and he's not even really worth it, right? Yeah. So it's just like we just have to tough it out for a couple more years and then get ourselves together. But he's got them in purgatory because they're not going anywhere. They're not competing for a title. That's definitely not happening.
Yeah.
And you know, you got this guy who's just he's so fragile that like they had to get rid of Mike Zimmer because Mike Zimmer is just too hard for him, right? like he can't handle it. But they never talk about this guy. Every time you hear about Kirk Cousins, it's, oh, he's a very good quarterback. He's an excellent quarterback. Kirk Cousins has one playoff win in his career. One playoff win, right? But there's no pressure for him. There's no talk of, man, this guy's been playing for a long time. He's made a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And what does he have to show for it? You never hear that talk. It's just that he's a very good quarterback. I don't know why he can't win with all those weapons that he has around him. Maybe it's the defense's fault. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's really windy in that dome. I don't know, right? but for whatever reason, like he doesn't get the criticism. So we decided we're gonna talk about it here because we think Kirk Cousins is whack.
Yeah, he is. You know, if you watch the channel, we had a lot of criticism for Matt Stafford, who, yeah, I mean, Detroit's a bad franchise, but they had a few good teams and they never won anything with Matt Stafford, right? And he's well under 500 for his career as a starting quarterback. Kirk Cousins is Matt Stafford without the talent, though.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't understand how Minnesota got themselves into this position. When they replaced Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater, they could have re-signed both of those guys for less than they paid Kirk that year. And Case Keenum had them in the NFC Championship game. Teddy Bridgewater had taken them to the playoffs once already. And everybody loves both those guys.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And you replaced them with a toxic mess.
Yeah. Shout out to ASG. Thanks for coming through, man. He says, every time I hear Kirk Cousins, it's this guy's a contract genius. It's not even him. Like his agent, like you just giving him credit for what his agent is doing.
Right.
Give me a break.
You don't ever hear, hey man, this guy's a great quarterback. Never.
You don't.
You never hear that. He's got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and even KJ Osborne. You know, you can throw in there a receiver. He's got Dalvin Cook at running back. And you look over in Green Bay, they have no receivers, and there's no question about who's winning that division.
Yeah. But yeah, look, see, Darren says, I don't know, Kirk Cousins is kind of G. Yeah, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to his money,
when it comes to bullying old men.
I salute him on that term, on that aspect, getting his money. Like that's the truth. On the field,
no. Kirk Cousins, you know that old saying, they talk about running backs like, hey, if you need 3 yards, give it to so and so, he'll get you 3 yards. If you need 5 yards, give it to so and so, he'll get you 3 yards. That's Kirk Cousins at quarterback. Like, hey, if you need 7 yards if it's 3rd and 7, Kirk's going to get you 8. If it's 3rd and 15, Kirk is going to get you 8 because that's a completion, and my percentage is going up.
Listen, okay, all right. Bonus time. We got to do it now. We're at an hour and a half in. You're not going to get us. I know what you guys are trying to do. I know what you're trying to do. We said it's not going to be a 2-hour show this time. It's not going to be a 2-hour show. This is an hour show, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. You're not going to trick us like you did last time. We had too much fun and we went almost 2 hours. Quick bonus time. Hollywood Brown was arrested for criminal speeding. Was it this morning or yesterday morning? I wonder if he was on his way to camp. That'd have been.
I believe that he was. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe he was. He was arrested at a little after 7 a.m. And he was going
over 100.
Yeah, I think 120 or so on the highway in the HOV lane, and he got pulled over and arrested. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. I don't know where you really go from here. Give him a fine, maybe like Mr. J said in our Discord, maybe suspend his license and just move on.
Yeah. In terms of NFL punishment, because people see arrest and it's just like, D Weezy says 125 miles per hour. You think arrest and that should warrant some sort of discipline from the NFL. Look, something like this, I'm sorry, I just don't think that's a suspendable thing, right? It's okay. Yeah, you get fined. If you want to suspend him, okay, you have to sit out a preseason game. But don't take it any further than that. I mean, he's spent. Like when you have fast cars, people floor it sometimes. Listen, I live in Maryland, right off of 29. They race their cars all the time. You can hear them, right? Like you can hear them. They always have races over here. Okay, that's a young kid thing, man. Like they do that. You saw Lamar. He posted a video. I think it was like his rookie year or the second year. He floored it. He was showing how fast he was going, and people got mad. He took it down. He just like, okay, I apologize. I'll be better, right? It's just young people stuff, man. It's not a big deal.
Not even that. Our mom will go 80 plus on the highway. That's like, like if there's open road in front of you, like people are gonna press the gas.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is.
But look, Mikey, he said he's dedicated to his job. He was just trying to get to work. He's trying to get to work. He said, look, I've been hurt. I missed enough time, man. I'm trying to get there ASAP. All right.
I mean, look, you hope that he's being responsible. You hope he's doing it when there's not anybody really around that, you could cause an accident or anybody get hurt or anything like that. Listen, I don't want this to sound negative. Like if he was going 125 and he got into an accident and hurt himself, oh well. I'm not going to feel too bad about it. Like you decided to drive at an unsafe speed, you lost control of your car, you hurt yourself. It's just a matter of if you just make sure you're not hurting anybody else.
I would feel bad, but like
I would
say
that's your fault. It's not. It's kind of. I don't mean that I wouldn't feel bad for him. I mean, obviously, but you just want to make sure that you're not doing that in a situation like Henry Ruggs was going, I think even faster than that, and he had been drinking, and he crashed into somebody else and killed them.
Yes, yeah. I feel bad for the person that died for sure. And look, it is unfortunate because again, I think that's just him being young and stupid, right? And it he didn't intend to kill anybody; it cost somebody their life. So I feel a little sympathy there for sure. But like you can't do that,
right?
Okay, right. Bonus time. Put your question and comments in there, real quick. We doing this quick.
Y'all ain't got no questions. Your comments are thank you for the show. See you next week. But it is time to go.
We're gonna do a couple. We'll do a couple of comments here, and then we'll get up out of here. Just Alice says the Ravens have the nerve to haggle with Lamar over price while asking him to do everything. But that's why this Kirk Cousins story stuck out, because here you have a guy who's only interested in padding his stats, right? Yeah. If you ever watch it, we watch a lot of like we're in that DC market area, right in between, right? So we see a lot of those games on TV. That's exactly what he's doing. In fact, Mikey, one of our good friends who's a Washington fan, not OTR Quan, Daoud, right? Where Kirk Cousins was their hero, and they played in that playoff game against Green Bay Packers. Daoud was just sitting there the whole time, like, "Hey, we're behind this game. Why isn't he throwing it down the field?" Right? Because they're plays, and because that's dangerous throwing down the field, right? It could get intercepted. If I check it down, that's a completion, right? And whatever yards that guy picks up, that'll go to my stats. Yeah, maybe we won't get a first down. Maybe it'll be a turnover on downs, right? But I won't have a turnover, right? That's how he plays.
Yeah.
So
he learned from Alex Smith, but he was like, I don't want to do all that stuff where I'm trying to win games. I just want to get these numbers up, get these interceptions down, and get paid.
But when it comes to him getting his money, it's not questioned. But Lamar has to play perfectly. He has to do everything perfect off the field, which he's doing, by the way. And they're still not giving him his money. So yeah, that's the issue I have. What are you reading, B?
And what about those Panthers? He's and Mr. J, how's Ronnie Stanley doing? That's what we're talking about. He's out here asking me, what's Darnold been up to? What's Stanley doing?
Oh man, look, a little harsh on both ends. Okay, we know what it is with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, why are you bringing up Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold's not the quarterback. He's not the quarterback. Okay, it's feeling dangerous. Baker Mayfield.
They should be.
We'll
take him. I think that Robbie is a decent player. I don't think he's a great receiver. He's a little too inconsistent. If somebody were to offer them, anywhere from a second to a fourth, round draft pick, I would take that and run.
So if we offer you a fourth, you take it
and run.
Well, I think you have an accord.
I don't think so, because y'all wouldn't trade that for you wouldn't trade those picks for AJ Brown. You wouldn't trade the third for Devontae Parker. So I don't think there is an accord.
So I'm not sure. Did EDC say this? I'm hearing this rumor that we were targeting Jameson Williams in the draft, but the Jets got him. The Jets got him before us. And I'm sitting here thinking we got 20. We got 12 draft picks. You couldn't trade any of those to move up and get him.
No.
No. The CMC playing the whole year.
Yes. Okay, listen. The whole thing with Christian McCaffrey, and by the way, man, Boogie's gonna have to get banned because I did not appreciate all the comments last week, getting all upset about what I said about Lamar, like I wasn't responding to what he said about Christian McCaffrey. But yes, Christian McCaffrey played all 16 games his first 3 years. The last couple of years, I think they've held him out a lot because the team's been terrible. They've won 5 games 3 years in a row. I think that now you have a good O-line. You have better quarterback play. You got a better defense. And they have a couple of other running backs there to take to take some of the load in Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. I think that he will play. I think most players won't play 17 games, right?
Yeah, that's what I say. He's not going to play. I don't think he's going to play every game,
but he's going to play all year. It's not going to be Christian's 3 and out.
I can see a situation if they're really bad down the stretch, they sit him again, right? He could have played last year, right? But they understood the situation. They need a higher pick, and if they fall apart towards the end of the year, and they're looking at these quarterbacks, they're not going to play Christian McCaffrey, right? Yeah. Christian McCaffrey. So look, running backs don't have the same impact as quarterbacks, right? Yeah. But Christian McCaffrey is somebody, when you have all the pieces, you want him on your team. He's a weapon. I would trade all of our running backs for Christian McCaffrey.
Absolutely.
I would trade.
He's one of the best players in the league. Period.
I would trade everybody in that running back room for Christian McCaffrey.
You put him on a team that has a quarterback, he's going to make a huge difference.
Yes.
He's just not going to make a difference in Carolina.
Right. So it's a matter of, hey, I'm sure he wants to preserve his body for, because if he keeps going this way, he's not going to finish out his career with Carolina. He'll go somewhere else. Right. And players like that, you see it happen all the time. Randy Moss looked washed up with the Raiders until he got traded to the Patriots, and then he broke wide receiver records. Right. Like players preserve themselves after a while when they're on losing teams. When they get to a winning situation, all of a sudden they're back to their old selves.
Right. Yeah. I love these questions from Mr. J. Is David Ojabo going to play at all? Are the Ravens going to pay Lamar?
These are great questions.
Is Shamar Bridges the wide receiver too?
Hey, you know what? He's in competition.
And then the surrender.
This is my favorite comment here. Hit that like for the guys. Yes, I agree, Don C. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Okay. What else we got here? T. Will. Thanks for coming through, my friend. He says, I'm mad people still think the Ravens have good O-line play. They might this year. The thing is, we don't know yet, right? We have Tyler Linderbaum, who's a rookie. We got Falele, who's a rookie. Not sure where he's going to factor in. And, we brought in Morgan Moses, who's a solid right tackle. And then the biggest question mark is Ronnie Stanley. So from what it looks like, Ronnie Stanley is coming along fine. They're not rushing him. They're being smart about it. I think he's going to hold up. And as long as he holds up, we should have good O-line play. I feel good about Tyler Linderbaum. I don't talk much about him because I just think he's going to go out there and ball, right? So I'm having that high expectation of him and that he's going to hold up. Right guard, Kevin Zeitler is a good right guard, so there's no issue there. And like I said before, Morgan Moses is solid. The left guard position is the biggest question mark. Don't know what's going on there. Ben Cleveland just got to practice finally after missing like 3 or 4 practices, which is insane. So I don't think he's really gonna be in competition for starting left guard. I'd be surprised if he gets it. So it's a question of Ben Powers or Tyree Phillips win that position, and then seeing how they hold up. So it could be a good O-line. It could be a disaster. We'll find out.
Andre, come on, man. CMC nice, but I'm sorry he hurt too much last couple seasons. Shelf life isn't that long for running backs. Doesn't matter. Find a left tackle, find a healthy running back, find somebody who can play wide receiver in the NFL, and then you can talk about Christian McCaffrey. Otherwise, just worry about your team, man. Don't worry about what Christian doing.
We have two of our starting running backs that'll probably start the season on PUP list. Right. I mean, look, players get hurt, right? they get hurt. That's just what it is. Because what are you gonna say if Gus Edwards gets hurt again or J.K. Dobbins gets hurt again? Right? What are you gonna say?
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins has missed over 50% of his career games.
And overall, Ravens is one of the most hurt teams in the league. We stay hurt. This ain't the first time we've had that many injuries. That's why I don't accept that excuse of, oh, we miss so many players. We always miss players. This team always stays hurt.
Yeah. And they're always prepared for it, right? That's why you draft 12 people every year. So this Ferris reminded us that we're not streaming for 2 hours, and it's coming up on that. So we're gonna answer one more question.
Yes.
From Danity. When do you think Lamar's cutoff date?
That's a good question.
I'm thinking it's probably the week of week 1.
Yeah.
Maybe early in that week. I don't know a specific date, but that would be my guess. It is kind of, a week or so before the start of the season.
The fact that it hasn't happened already is just a huge disappointment. There's not much more that he can show you to convince you that you just need to give him the money. He seems pretty firm on whatever number he gave you, whatever the terms were. He's pretty firm on that. He's not coming off of that. So what are you waiting for? It's either yes or no. This isn't hard. It's yes or no. And if the answer is no, this will be the last year unless you try to franchise tag them. You want to play that game. I know the Ravens don't want to play that game. So this is probably the last year we're going to have with them, right? And there's no need to talk about it. If you're waiting to see, what are you waiting to see? Preseason, you already know what the man can do, right? So just get it done. Swallow your pride. All that happens every day you wait is the price goes up, right? Quarterbacks are getting, more deals, or you see quarterbacks getting in trouble and they're like, well, Lamar doesn't have those problems. Look, how much is that guy making? It's always something. So yeah, T. Will says 250 has to be the number. I would say no problem to that. Done.
What are you talking about here, Andre? 2 years compared to 6?
I'm not sure. I don't know. D. Weezy says franchise tag in 2023 going to be 40 to 45 mil for one season. Even if it was 30 million, they don't want to pay it. They don't want to pay the 23 million now that he's costing. Right? Yeah. Like the Ravens don't like having that much money tied up in one person for a year. So I don't see a franchise tag in the future. The Ravens use a franchise tag. They don't use that often, but when they do, it's just to give them more time to work out a deal. They don't like going into the season with that kind of cap hit. So, all right, we'll leave it there. See, they almost got us again. It's almost 2 hours. All right, we need a little timer or something. But man, we have too much fun here, man. You guys are awesome. I love doing this. But okay. Overtime show. If you guys want to be a part of it, we can continue this conversation, and we will. We have a whole lot more to talk about. Patreon.com/LBHT Show. That's how you join it. I see you reading the comment, B. I see.
No, I'm good. Christian McCaffrey's played 5 years. He's been hurt in 2 of them. JK's played 2 years, and he was hurt for 1 of them.
So again, I tell you guys this every week, man. Watch other teams. Don't just watch the Ravens. And if you don't know, do a quick Google search before you comment, right? You guys be saying stuff in here and you don't know what you're talking about sometimes. It's fine when you're here. This is a safe space, okay? We'll correct you. But when you go out in those Twitter spaces, that aren't Ravens Twitter spaces, and you're making these arguments, you better know what you're talking about, okay? Because they will eat you alive, okay? Don't go out there mentioning James Prochet. Don't go out there mentioning Gus Edwards, right? Don't mention players that everybody else, fans of the rest of the NFL, have to go and Google their name because they don't know who you're talking about. Don't be that guy. All right.
Yeah, Drake, he's going into his 6th season healthy, and JK is going into his 3rd season injured.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Like Danny said, this is how we ending it. Don't embarrass the fan base with your foolishness. We will leave it right there. Yeah. All right. But thank everybody for coming. Lots of fun, man. We really appreciate y'all hanging out with us for almost 2 hours again. But patrons, give us a couple of minutes to fire up the overtime show. B, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, everybody else, have a great night. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Peace out.